Harry and Meghan were at Diddy freak-off parties and were taped?
Prince Harry's name has been mentioned in court documents related to allegations Sean Diddy Combs sexually abused multiple people.
I feel this situation just got worse. I don't know if you guys know this. So, everybody's seen the video. I'm pretty sure everybody's...
As Sean Diddy Combs sits behind bars awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges, we take a deep dive into the growing list of high-profile celebrities charged with sexual
Rumors are swirling about Prince Harry's personal life, sparking widespread chatter. Allegedly, new videos have emerged showing him involved in controversial activities at exclusive parties. These reports hint at compromising scenarios that might put the royal family's image at risk. Insiders suggest Prince Harry is reportedly worried about the fallout if these claims are made public.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. I hope you guys did have your lunch because the idea of this is so gross. Now, I don't believe this. I know a lot of you probably want to believe this. I know we think she's done a lot in her past, but Harry doing it with Meghan and Diddy? That's a lot to believe. Now, there's a spin to this article. Now, Jaguar Wright is someone who has reported on the Diddy stuff. If you haven't been following the Diddy case, you should be following it over on Popcorn Planet. It's getting intense. Everybody is being sort of accused, complicit. These tapes are now being shopped around Hollywood. It's bad news. In fact, we have a live later today where apparently 100 plus new victims are coming forward. Make sure not to miss it. We'll be live probably at the time you're taping this. Come over to Popcorn Planet and watch us. Now, this article is getting spinned by Radar saying that Meghan and Harry are overjoyed at the royals being dragged into this Diddy scandal, even though they were added into it as well, but they're sort of avoiding that and saying, well, it's Prince Andrew in the freak-off tape is the one that's real. Now, it's easy to sort of assume that if you heard the previous allegations against Prince Andrew. I know a lot of people have come forward sort of starting to defend him, saying these accusers that were there calling him out actually haven't been honest. At the same time, it's hard to defend Prince Andrew after that interview where he just keeps denying his relationship with Jeffrey. It's gross. It's a bad look. I don't trust the guy. I know what happened. To each their own. He hasn't been charged, but something seems off. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if he was caught in a freak-off tape with Diddy. It is a similar sort of friend, Jeffrey and Diddy, similar types of people, as we're learning. And Radar Online is now revealing that Duke and Duchess are apparently planning to use Andrew's alleged ties to Diddy to justify their decision to leave the firm and turn their backs on the royal family. I mean, they already left the firm. They've already turned their backs. They don't need Prince Andrew's freak-off tape to justify it, but let's hear it. An insider tells us Harry and Meghan have spent years being vilified by the royal family. Now it's being alleged that Prince Andrew could be facing yet another scandal. They are rubbing their hands in glee. They're called out too, though. So if you want to just believe the Andrew part, well, then you got to believe the part that says you're in it too. And that's what it actually says. Jaguar Wright lifted the lid off who she believes might be featured in these rumored freak-off tapes. She listed more than a dozen names, ranging from Jennifer Lopez to Usher. She claimed most people will be most shocked by the politicians and royal family members she alleges were caught on camera attending Diddy's illicit parties. She said, quote, I think what will shock people are the politicians and the royals that were on that tape. And I'm still trying to figure out when Harry and Meghan are going to be honest about their freak-off tape.
Claims about Prince Harry attending Diddy's famed high-profile parties have stirred public intrigue. These gatherings, celebrated for their luxury and extravagance, reportedly included A-list celebrities such as rappers, models, and actors, alongside surprising guests like royalty. Allegations suggest that Prince Harry fully immersed himself in the lavish atmosphere, which featured opulent venues and uninhibited entertainment, sparking curiosity about the nature of these provocative events.
Keeping my lunch in. Oh, God. It's the last thing I want to watch is that ginger in a tape like that. No offense to gingers out there. Anyway, sorry. Let me move on. Wright continued, I don't think anybody really wants to talk about the fact that the royal family had many times at the Diddy parties, especially that weirdo uncle. Despite her claims, it's believed Harry and Meghan have never met Diddy. Look, this is the reality. There's been no proof. Harry and William met Diddy and Kanye at a Diana memorial event. The pictures have always been out there. But there's no proof that they ever actually went to any parties. Neither has Meghan, that we can prove. There's also no suggestion of any figures right left in the video have been involved in any wrongdoing. Still, insiders have been rocked by the celebs and they're quaking in their boots. It's true. A lot of celebrities are getting worried. In a 2011 appearance in the Graham Norton show, the disgraced mogul said he hoped to have Harry and William as guests at one of his infamous bashes, implying that they hadn't been there since 2011. Diddy said at the time, before, when they were young bucks growing up and they were getting into a lot of trouble themselves. So, hey, I was like, why don't you come hang out with me? Trust me, they're on the list. I think they meant to say on the list. Why would they be off the list if you're inviting them? Harry and William were once seen together with Diddy in 2007. That's in the images that have gone around. But that was at the Princess Diana Memorial Concert. They were performing. It was in the Wembley Arena. It wasn't at a Diddy freak-off party. It's not believed either of the princes have ever made it to one of Diddy's parties. Now, that's where a lot of you are going to just disagree with me. You're going to say, oh, no, they were, Andy, they were. Look, it's possible, I guess. It's possible, but I need more proof before I go there. Even with Prince Andrew. Yeah, I don't like Prince Andrew. He's an idiot to me. Just an absolute bozo. That interview, the scooped interview, oh my gosh, was it with Matthias? What was her name? It's the tough watch. He looked so guilty in that interview. So clueless. There have been a couple movies now about that making of that interview, and it just, what a bozo. That said, some of the allegations that have come forward, it doesn't seem like have been completely honest. Does that mean he's completely innocent? I mean, he is innocent until proven guilty, but would I want to defend his honor fully? No, I wouldn't. Am I going to go criticize him further? No, it is what it is. It is, what else can we do? Would I be surprised to see him though at a Diddy party, given how close he was with Jeffrey? No, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Now, her calling him the weirdo uncle, not proof. This idea that, and to quote her, if Harry and Meghan want to gleefully rub their hands saying that, oh, Prince Andrew's now in another scandal, well, so are you. Because the same source said, I'm still trying to figure out when Harry and Meghan are going to be honest about their freak-off tape. How would you have known about that? This person seems to be out there just saying names. And I'm all for, making speculation from time to time if there's a connection. But I don't see any connection. As much as I would love to put my fingers in glee at seeing Harry and Meghan be exposed in that kind of way, because I feel like they are charlatans and so on. I just don't see any proof, guys. I don't see any proof that they would go do that. And the idea of it is not only gross, but just seems so unrealistic that Harry would join Meghan at a yacht party, let alone a Diddy party. And then what? It's too much for me. I know a lot of you don't like these two, but it's too much for me. But this is the rumors that are now heading out there. So, do I believe they're enjoying when the royal family gets, put through the coals? Absolutely. Do I think they're overjoyed when they get dragged into these scandals? Yes, they clearly do. They created their own scandals and lies to drag them over the coals then. So, of course, they would be into that. Not surprised at that part of it, but it's weird that they would be overjoyed by a source saying Andrew was there, but the same source mentioned they're there, and they're just like, well, we weren't there, but Andrew, yeah, that one's real. They're either both real or it's not real, and this person doesn't know what she's talking about. That's the reality here. So I do find it interesting that, apparently they believe, according to the source, that Andrew's there and the source is telling the truth. And if the source is telling the truth, well, then it sounds like you were there too. So what do you guys think? That's what I want to hear. Do you really think it's possible that these two would have made a freak-off tape with Diddy at one of his parties? Or is it too much?
Alleged videos of Prince Harry's behavior at parties have raised concerns about possible fallout. The footage reportedly shows compromising situations that could damage his reputation and affect the royal family. If released, these videos could clash with his public image as a grounded family man, potentially harming his personal brand and business partnerships. One video, in particular, allegedly shows him engaging in a provocative dance with an unidentified woman, adding to the controversy.
Front page of the Sun today. He's making headlines there. He's been named in a US court documents relating to the rapper P. Diddy, whose real name is Sean Combs.
Yeah, the court documents filed in the US mention guests were drawn to Combs' alleged sex trafficking parties because of his so-called access to celebrities and international dignitaries, which included the likes of Prince Harry.
Let's go to Royal and Showbiz reporter Kinsey Schofield on this one. So Harry's been named. What will this mean for him and his wife?
Well, I have to be honest with you. It looks like Prince Harry's being thrown under the bus here. And, you know, I'm willing to criticize Prince Harry when it's appropriate. If you want to talk about his African Parks charity, I've got all day. But in this particular case, it seems like the accuser here, who is a producer named Rodney Lil Rod Jones, who filed this $30 million lawsuit in February, is trying to get attention by dropping some of these bigger names like Prince Harry's into this documentation, trying to say that Prince Harry gave P. Diddy credibility. Now, the only time Prince Harry and P. Diddy are photographed together is in 2007 at an event honoring Princess Diana. The last time I could find Sean Combs talking about Prince Harry is in 2011 during a Graham Norton interview where he's joking, and he clearly has no relationship with him. There's no proof that Prince Harry has nurtured any type of relationship with Sean P. Diddy Combs. And as somebody that's worked for Diddy, I can assure you that he doesn't need Prince Harry when it comes to, you know, any sort of cool points over the years. I've never seen him have to name drop. He was always Diddy.
Rewind a minute there. You worked for him or with him?
Yeah, I threw a party for him for Ciroc vodka. And, you know, I never had any issues with him. I'm very lucky in that regard. I don't have anything negative to say about him. Obviously, these accusations are appalling, but I'm a good girl. So he probably knew not to do anything like that around me. But, you know, this is all over the news here. He is accused of sex trafficking and multiple sex assault lawsuits, with raids on multiple houses on Monday by Homeland Security, with them seizing electronics and interviewing 4 Jane Does and 1 John Doe, the New York prosecutors, in connection with sex trafficking and a racketeering investigation. So similar to R. Kelly, and very serious allegations.
It's interesting you were talking about the picture that Prince Harry was photographed next to P. Diddy. I think Prince William's also in that picture, and interesting that he's managed to completely avoid being mentioned in all this just as well, given what's going on for him at the moment. But I wonder why this particular claimant has gone after or decided to pick on Prince Harry, sorry.
I think it's because Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are headline grabbers all over the world, and it's guaranteed press. It's going to guarantee that you'll end up on the cover of the Sun, and I think ultimately this accuser is looking for a payday. And I'm not saying that P. Diddy's innocent. I don't know what the truth is here, but I can tell you, based on past experience with his ex-girlfriend Cassie, he settled that. I believe it was just one day after that court filing, when it came to a 2017 chef that alleged that P. Diddy was inappropriate with her. He settled that 2 years later. So he has a history of settling these cases. You know, blow this up and you could potentially get a great payday. So of course you're going to want this splashed across all the newspapers, and Prince Harry is a great way to do that.
Well, I think it's great talking to you, having worked with him, knowing how his name is pronounced, as I was pronouncing it this morning and told I was wrong. It's spelt Combs, as in a comb through your head.
Prince Harry is reportedly taking significant steps to control the fallout from the compromising videos. Sources suggest he has gathered a team of tech experts, PR professionals, and possibly even royal influence to suppress the footage. However, with the persistence of the internet and the potential for the videos to spread widely, there are doubts about the effectiveness of these efforts. The royal family, reportedly unhappy with Harry's actions, may step in to manage the situation. King Charles, in particular, is said to be upset, as the palace is focused on improving its public image.
Man, anybody who in law enforcement or people know the law, when Homeland Security ran up into his house, people will tell you, or people knew that it was just a matter of time that they was going to indict him and bring him in to see the judge, bro. It was just a matter of time. I just figured out with the grand jury and their different sessions and stuff like that, and then what one of the witnesses told me, I just figured it out that it was going to be around September that they were going to bring him in, bro. People might not understand. It's difficult when you see a brother that has so much promise become an icon as far as in the music business and stuff that he did, to turn around and just tear his whole life down. But it's all because of his mentors and the people that trained him and taught him the music business. You know, it's all about the people who trained and taught him the music business, because Puff wasn't, he wasn't born a monster. You know what I'm saying? He was made into a monster, brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? He was made into a monster from the stuff that happened to him, the things that he had to do. You understand? The things that he had to do to become who he is. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like this, brother. You never like something so much that you can't do it out, and you never be willing to do anything to get where you want to be at. You got to have principles. You got to have morals. You got to keep with that stuff. And in that music business, a lot of that stuff get thrown out the window. You understand? And that's what happened to him. He started doing the things to other people that was done to him. To keep it frank, he was doing the things to other people that was done to him. And it is what it is. You got to know better. And if you know better, you will do better. When he was in New York City, he was like that gecko from the Geico commercial. Then he turned and started going, when he lived in Cali and Miami, he turned into Godzilla. I would see him talk about how he using drugs. He was never like that. Smoking cigarettes, smoking weed and everything like that. He turned into something that you could consider a monster, bruh. Then he started doing things to people, you understand, that he learned. That's a learned behavior, bruh. Now, I'm not saying that he may have been doing a couple of things here and there with women, stuff like that in New York, but the things that they're talking about that he was doing, bringing in prostitutes to have sex with his girl and all that stuff like that, that was some crazy stuff to me, man. So I'm just looking at this whole thing, man, and you had asked me, and we don't have these conversations like most people do. We're going to go back and you're going to tell me what, we're going to talk about this. You said, I'm going to ask you how you feel, bro. I don't want no man to ever go to jail and be leaving their kids behind, be leaving their family behind. You understand? But some dudes belong in jail based on what they do and how they do it. We know that to be true. And it's just this situation, man, when they get down to all the facts and all what happened, he may belong in jail, bruh. And that's not my doing. That's not Cassie doing. That's his doing and his learned behavior from the people that mentored him. You got to realize, man, he learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clyde Davis. You understand? When those people are telling you that they were heavy into the drugs, they was heavy into beating women and doing things at that age, at that crazy stage, that's going to make him think that he could get away with the same thing that they was getting away with back then. You understand? The things that he was saying, you know, the touchy-feely between two men and all that stuff like that, man. All that, he learned that from them dudes. When I told y'all the story when me and my man went up to Russell Simmons and he had a house and he had a man in bikini drawers in his bedroom, in his bed. You understand? Bruh, this is that he learned. I'm assuming he learned it from them. Let me put that. And I'm not going to say alleged because I saw that for my own self. My man was with me, Slick was with me, and we saw that for our own self. You understand what I'm saying? So these are behaviors and things that with drugs and all the stuff that's going on, pills, drinking, it can make this man into a monster, and that's what it did, bruh. It made him into a monster, bruh.
Prince Harry's legal team is reportedly taking a tough stance to block the release of the compromising videos, sending cease and desist letters that cite copyright infringement and privacy violations. However, the difficulty of controlling online content raises concerns about the effectiveness of these efforts. Damage control measures are likely being put in place, possibly framing the incident as a youthful mistake or blaming negative influences. Still, questions remain about Prince Harry's responsibility, considering his age and awareness of the situation.
I personally feel like he got a lot of the things that he did from his mentor, and then he probably did it to the 10th power. You understand? Russell Simmons admitted that he was a drug abuser. You understand? Russell Simmons admitted that he used to put his hands on women. So it's a learned behavior, bruh. Some of that stuff may be in him through his childhood. Through his childhood, he may have some of that things in him, but a lot of things that he was doing was a learned behavior, bruh. You just don't just turn it in a matter of years the way he was doing people, man. You understand? Check this out, bruh. He led Biggs to his death. He caused a rift between Wolf and BMF that led to Wolf death. Cussed Wolf mother out. Lied about owing him $300,000. Cause you had asked me how I feel, and I'm gonna get into how I feel. Took a good friend of ours who raised money when he had the City College tragedy. A good friend of ours did things to make him popular in Harlem. Let him hang with us, be part of our crew the whole 9 yards. Disrespected him and wouldn't help him. This is how I feel about him being locked up and going to jail. Some people, their karma is so strong for what they do and what they did. The stuff that he did to Craig Mack. You understand what I'm saying? The stuff that he did to Black Rob and all those people in the spiritual world right now. His karma was about to catch up and was bound to catch up with him. You understand what I'm saying? His karma was bound to catch up with him, brother. So all these things that's going on right now, the learned behavior, what he got from these people who was not living spiritually correct with their behaviors and the things that they've done. He go and transfer and do that to people with the fact of all these people that he's hurt, that always helped him and been on his side and been there for him. What's happening to him now is one of the greatest tragedies that we're gonna ever read about, bruh. This is going to be one of the greatest tragedies that Shakespeare couldn't write in Richard. He couldn't write it in Macbeth. He couldn't write this shit in Romeo and Juliet. This is going to be one of the greatest tragedies of hip hop, along with Pac's death, along with Big's death. And he brought it on himself because he knew that he was wrong, and he knew that he learned something that wasn't right. He know different from right and wrong, bruh. You have a way to change. You know when something is right and when something is wrong, and you know if you're wrong, you get help. He didn't choose none of that, bruh. He chose to be who he is, and now he gonna learn. It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun.
Prince Harry's alleged scandal is putting his carefully crafted public image at risk. Known for his socially conscious and progressive persona, he could be seen as shifting from the rebel prince to a rich boy gone wild by the public. This controversy may also hit him financially, as brands could distance themselves from the drama, leading to the loss of business deals and projects.
14-page indictment yesterday were that there are a lot of people in Hollywood who are probably worried about which Diddy parties they were at and what was going on. That's not to say that they were necessarily even involved in any of the things that are alleged by the U.S. Attorney's Office. But if you're at that party and it turns out that that's when he set up one of these freak-off sex parties, or that it was going on in another room and you didn't know about it, there's a good chance that you're going to be called by the U.S. Attorney's Office. And certainly if you were involved, you would get a call because they're going to want to know everything you want to know and may even want you to be a witness. I just think, we're just starting to scratch the surface of what this case, this case is going to touch and involve. And the feds have said that this remains an open investigation. There could be more charges for Diddy. There could be more charges for other people involved. And usually the way this works is once they find out other people are involved or were witnesses, they bring them in and they sort of lean on them, and it's sort of like, you're going to cooperate with us, or there's a possibility that you could face charges. So this is going to be a slow developing a case here because we're just getting started, and I don't see how this trial begins anytime before next year.
There are a lot of wild allegations in those documents that came out yesterday, including 1,000 bottles of baby oil. What surprised you the most about what you read yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, that, Brian, was was definitely an alarming graph of the indictment when you read that when they raided, I believe it was the Miami home, where they found 1,000 bottles of, and they said that these were items that were used at the freak-offs. There were also large amounts of drugs, they said, cocaine, ketamine, Molly, GHB, the rape drug. So, they said that the house, according to the feds, that was stocked for these parties that were going on. And then to read their description of how Diddy, as they say, lured women into joining these parties. And they say that he would meet them or lure them, get to know them, and lure them in thinking they would think that there was going to be a romantic relationship with him. And then it would turn out that they would be at these freak-offs where they would be forced to have, or drugged and forced to have sex with male prostitutes that he was bringing in. And that's one of the counts that he's facing also, is the transportation of individuals for a purpose of prostitution. So really alarming allegations laid out in court. Diddy, of course, has pled not guilty to all of it. And then the real kicker for him at the end of the day was that the judge said you will be held without bail. And that means however long it takes for this trial to begin, he will be in a federal detention facility in Brooklyn, and not a very nice one. In fact, a fairly notorious one. So you got to figure it. He wants out of there, and he wants out as soon as possible.
The fallout from Prince Harry's scandal is expected to be intense in Britain, where he has already faced backlash for stepping away from royal duties. The British press is sure to dive into the story, questioning his character, choices, and even his suitability as a father. Ironically, this situation could push Harry closer to the royal family. If the controversy deepens, he may turn to the palace for help in managing the fallout. The royals are known for keeping their issues behind closed doors, so Harry might seek support from King Charles to navigate the crisis.
Era right now, Charles, of men with power falling from grace in Hollywood. And when I think about Harvey Weinstein, you know, that was an open secret in Hollywood for a very long time about what he was doing with victims. Was this also the case with P. Diddy, that the people kind of knew this was going on?
I will say this: there were always been whispers about his power and how he wielded that power. But I can't say I heard any whispers about these freak-offs, and it's really alarming. You know, we were talking about it yesterday. One, these parties had a lot of individuals. In fact, the U.S. Attorney's Office says that the parties would sometimes go on for days. So there are a lot of individuals involved, and yet, and they say this has been going on for more than 10 years, and yet we didn't hear about that. So that means that all the people that were involved, according to the feds, that he managed to keep them all quiet, that nobody would speak about it. And that does sort of speak to the kind of power he wielded and the fear that people had of him. We're also talking about the fact that the beating of Cassie, which was captured on the hotel surveillance video, that was, 6 years ago. And
alleged when
nobody knew about it. Nobody heard about it. Think about all the people that were at the hotel who may have known about it, people who saw the surveillance video and never spoke about it. And like you said, we're in an era where when things like that happen, people speak out about it. So the fact that no one did, and that it only took this, really Cassie's lawsuit before any of this started coming out, it does kind of speak to the power that he wielded, and that the fact that nobody wanted to cross him.
And Charles, what do you think happens next in this case? Members of Sean Combs' family have been ordered to give up their passports. He's currently in jail. What do you think happens from here?
Well, his attorneys, the first thing that's going to happen is today, his attorneys are going back into court. They've appealed the bail ruling. And like I said, I'm sure he wants out, and that's their first job right now, is to get him out. They've offered a $50 million package for bail. That was rejected yesterday, but they're going to take another swing at it today. And then after that, what happens, he did surrender his passport to his lawyer. We should say the way his team put it out originally, they made it sound like he had turned it over to the authorities. He had turned over his passport back in April to his lawyer, as did his children and his mother. And their point was they wanted to make the case to the court that, look, we're cooperating here. He is not a flight risk. And they feel like the U.S. Attorney's Office undermined that by raiding his hotel on Monday night and arresting him when they say he was in New York because he was more than willing to surrender. In fact, the plan was for him to surrender on Tuesday, and then for some reason, the feds decided to arrest him Monday night. Diddy's attorneys think they did that so that it would look like he wasn't cooperating, and then the judge would deny him bail, which, as it turns out,
Prince Harry is under intense scrutiny as compromising videos from Diddy's parties threaten to unravel his life. The fallout could have serious consequences for his image, finances, and marriage. Is this the end of Harry's rebel prince persona? While the palace may step in to help manage the damage, it raises questions about how much control Harry will lose.
Era right now, Charles, of men with power falling from grace in Hollywood. And when I think about Harvey Weinstein, that was an open secret in Hollywood for a very long time about what he was doing with victims. Was this also the case with P. Diddy, that the people kind of knew this was going on?
I will say this: there were always been whispers about his power and how he wielded that power. But I can't say I heard any whispers about these freak-offs, and it's really alarming. We were talking about it yesterday. One, these parties had a lot of individuals. In fact, the U.S. Attorney's Office says that the parties would sometimes go on for days. So there are a lot of individuals involved, And yet, and they say this has been going on for more than 10 years, and yet we didn't hear about that. So that means that all the people that were involved, according to the feds, that he managed to keep them all quiet, that nobody would speak about it. And that does sort of speak to the kind of power he wielded and the fear that people had of him. We were also talking about the fact that the beating of Cassie, which was captured on the hotel surveillance video, that was what, 6 years ago, and
alleged when Combs
nobody knew about it. Nobody heard about it. Think about all the people that were at the hotel who may have known about it, people who saw the surveillance video and never spoke about it. And like you said, we're in an era where when things like that happen, people speak out about it. So the fact that no one did, and that it only took this, really Cassie's lawsuit before any of this started coming out, it does kind of speak to the power that he wielded, and that the fact that nobody wanted to cross him.
And Charles, what do you think happens next in this case? Members of Sean Combs' family have been ordered to give up their passports. He's currently in jail. What do you think happens from here?
Well, his attorneys, the first thing that's going to happen is today, his attorneys are going back into court. They've appealed the bail ruling. And like I said, I'm sure he wants out, and that's their first job right now, is to get him out. They've offered a $50 million package for bail. That was rejected yesterday, but they're going to take another swing at it today. And then after that, what happens, look, he did surrender his passport to his lawyer. We should say the way his team put it out originally, they made it sound like he had turned it over to the authorities. He had turned over his passport back in April to his lawyer, as did his children and his mother. And their point was they wanted to make the case to the court that, look, we're cooperating here. He is not a flight risk. And they feel like the U.S. Attorney's Office undermined that by raiding his hotel on Monday night and arresting him when they say he was in New York because he was more than willing to surrender. In fact, the plan was for him to surrender on Tuesday, and then for some reason the feds decided to arrest him Monday night. Diddy's attorneys think they did that so that it would look like he wasn't cooperating, and then the judge would deny him bail, which, as it turns out.
On the other hand, this crisis could present an opportunity for him to rebrand and come out stronger. The world is watching, asking, is Prince Harry's reputation beyond repair, or will he take this chance to redefine himself? Will he bow to royal pressure or carve out a new path?